What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on May the 4th. Be with you. This must be one of TJ's favorite days in the comic book lore movie realm. We've got a nice little lightsaber there from TJ. We got Justin wrote the article this morning. Go give that a read. While you're watching the show, if you want to, you probably should have read it beforehand. But TJ, where on the list of like random days for you, where does May the 4th sit with you?
You know, it doesn't really change. It's just the same as all the other days. Maybe I'll watch a Star Wars movie to end out the night tonight, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets me. There's like I get promotions for food for like something. I know there's Cinco de Mayo's tomorrow, so I get all the Chipotle and Moe's rewards and emails. But there's like May the 4th ones out there too. So if it gets me a discount somewhere on food, I'm okay with it. Well, what about you, Justin? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So my father is similarly frugal with any deals that he can get and stuff. He's always been like that. You know, I grew up that way. My parents actually went on a cruise this week, and he texted me last night to say so that every day of their cruise they get like $6 for free for the casino on board.
Wow.
And I mean, he's not a gambler at all, right? Like he's got some money on DraftKings, and he'll do the fish favorites in the NFL playoffs or whatever. But anyway, he messaged me to let me know that he ran his $6 free up on the last day of their cruise to 250 some bucks with the penny slots. So using only the free cash, never puts any of his own cash in there. So he'll be happy with the Cinco de Mayo deals too. I'm sure tomorrow they're back home. So
he's the only person in history to win money on a cruise slot, probably.
That's right.
Congrats to him. Let him know that those are basically the worst slots in the history of the world. But
they got you trapped in there.
They can't escape. The poker tables are always fun if they got them on there too. I enjoy that. I got to get on a cruise again sometime. But enough about cruises and May the 4th. We've got baseball and specifically weather. So let me get Mr. Ross weather report up here. And TJ, want to bring this up. Earlier today, there was a lot of orange at the start of this. You know, there was a lot of orange yellow. There were some games that were orange. Mr. Producer, here we go. We got it up here. All right. Roth has basically taken down everything to like a yellow orange, which to me generally is okay. However, just before we came on the air, they put the tarp on at Yankee Stadium, which is not good, I believe. I sent Mr. Roth a message waiting to hear back from him on that. If we get any sort of what?
He already answered.
Oh, all right. What did he say?
He said some concerns, but really they should just let this batch move through and then play circled area clearing that they can play in. So there is a small batch of rain right now happening that is about to clear.
All right. So with that said, Roth given me the green light. I have reinserted Aaron Judge back onto my DraftKings team, a much easier task than getting him to fit on your FanDuel team today. So as far as I stand, right, there's a lot of colors here. I'm not really taking weather into consideration for any game at the moment. Justin, how are you handling this with all these colors up here from Ross Report?
Yeah, I'm not really either. I mean, we've had a lot of games this weekend that there's been delays, and teams have been patient. Obviously, today's a little bit different because it's Sunday, and a lot of teams are exiting stage left after the games end today. So maybe they won't wait around quite as much as they did earlier in the weekend. In general, in GPPs, I'm underweight on the Yankees anyway, so that game isn't going to make or break my day no matter what. The other ones.
Official delay in that game too. We just got the official Rays Yankees delay,
and no surprise if they got the tarp on the field now. That close to first pitch. Probably even if they got it off right now and started warming up, it'd be basically right on time. So no surprise that they've announced that delay. I think the other games are going to be all right. It doesn't seem like massive rain in Chicago. Philly may be the other biggest concern, but Probably don't have too much interest in the pitchers there anyway. So yeah, I'm just assuming everything plays.
Yeah, and lineup lock, we are starting to show a little earlier because we got the Mets doubleheader today. It's 1:15, so if you're planning on hanging out till 1:35, don't forget lock is at 1:15 today. All right, let's get into some of the plays for today. Justin, you wrote the article. We'll start with pitching. It really comes down to Crochet or DeGrom. Do you have a preference between the two on FanDuel? There is a $1,000 difference, which is reasonably meaningful, and I think even on DraftKings, there's a reasonable price difference as well of at least $100 here. You're probably playing both on DraftKings and cash. It is reasonably easy to do that today. But if forced to pick on between the two, if you're only playing one, what's your preference today?
Yeah, I think if they were the same salary, I'd lean towards Crochet because I like his matchup a little bit better. Seattle's been pretty good against right-handed pitching, so I mean that is a slight concern with DeGrom, but he got some of his fastballs back up to 99 in his last start. Never going to be the guy that he was a few years back, but I mean he only threw 68 pitches in 6 innings in his last start. Is the one game out of the last couple weeks that Texas has won fairly easily. They've lost 7 of 8. The one game that they won was his start, and it was like 15-2 or something like that. So yeah, DeGrom is the choice for me, largely because I think that discount is meaningful enough to matter, similar enough projection, and I can do I can do some things with the extra 1,000 on FanDuel, the extra 1,300 on DraftKings. Like you mentioned on DraftKings and cash games, it's probably viable to get both of them. I think they are very clearly the top two. You look at Peralta's got to face the Cubs. Right now we're approaching territory of just don't want to play any pitchers against the Cubs the way they've been hitting offensively. There's no point in taking a shot on Peralta at basically the same salary as those other two guys. He's more expensive than DeGrom on DraftKings. Imanaga is not as big of a strikeout guy. Maybe has the better matchup against the Brewers, but just if you're spending, it's Crochet and DeGrom. I could listen to arguments either way. I've got DeGrom slightly ahead because the discount I think is meaningful enough.
TJ, what's your ownership look like between those two today? There is a good salary difference. It lets you get some more bats. How are you playing that for tournaments?
So one thing I'll just say quick is we are 8 likes away from the first Spidey bomb. So keep smashing the like button and we will get some home run picks for you today. But from a pitching standpoint, Crochet is going to be my number one today. I wrote him up in the expert survey as my favorite, and I did end up getting slightly more Crochet than DeGrom. I have 43% Crochet, 41% DeGrom today. So I'm going to be playing a ton of both of them, but do just have a little bit more Crochet than DeGrom. I'm fully fading Freddie Peralta. I like Shota Imanaga in tournaments quite a bit. And basically what I'm doing is I have 43% Crochet, 41% DeGrom, 25% Imanaga, and then nobody else at more than 10. And just like spreading out some really ugly SP2s that I don't feel good about, but kind of hoping that I do still want to get some access to some of these more expensive bats. So I'll take shots on Will Warren, Taj Bradley, JP Sears, Edward Cabrera. I don't even think it's that ridiculous just because while there's these two phenomenal options up top, if one of them fails, there's not really any SP2 that might have more than 25 points today. It's possible 24 is the best SP2. And so I don't think it's ridiculous to just like close your eyes, cross your fingers, and try Kyle Gibson or Eric Fetty since they're so wildly cheap.
I might even try a Tidwell. Lots of strikeout ability for him. It's against the Cardinals. We'll get Justin's take on that one. And we got a 4K starting pitcher in Kolek going up against the Pirates. Where are you on maybe those two? And then I'm going to throw it to Justin for maybe a couple other tournament shots you might want to take.
I missed that we had a 4K starting pitcher, if I'm being honest. So now I'm going to do a whole rebuild so I can get to some of them.
Yeah, Kolek's a little I'm not expecting a lot, but it's the Pirates. But I like your take where if either Crochet or DeGrom don't have big games and we're not expecting anything, a 4K pitcher that gets you 12 or 15, that can get it done because your bats are so much better than everybody else's there today. I know, Justin, you talked a little bit about Cabrera in your article today. I might take Sears. Sears is just a little bit, he's definitely too expensive on FanDuel, and he's approaching probably too expensive on DraftKings if you look at his long-term history, but he is a little bit better this year. He's not giving up any free passes. He's changed his pitch mix a little bit. His velocity is a little higher. It's the Marlins, who aren't as bad as we all thought they would be. They're a reasonable offense. I like the A's to win this game. That was one of my picks on scores and odds. If you got to pick a pitcher, you want a Cabrera, who's a little wild, big fastball, but has been getting hit hard, or you want a Sears, who's been pretty consistent this year.
Yeah, I mean, Sears is the safer play. There's no doubt about that. Cabrera does have he's one of the only cheap guys that has a strikeout prop of 5.5. So, look, Cabrera is by no means safe, and I'm just shooting for, there's not a whole lot of guys down here that I think can give you a ton of upside, right? McCullers is making his first start of the year. McCullers is making his first start in several years. Suarez is making his first start of the year. Tough matchup for Erod. Bybee doesn't bring a lot of strikeout upside. So the thought on Cabrera certainly is not that he's safe. Just a matter of, you try to have the game where maybe he only walks one guy and blows it by a few guys and gets 7 or 8 Ks. Sears is definitely the safer choice, and I agree you can't play him on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, he's a worthwhile SP2 if you need to go down a little bit from DeGrom. Don't hate the call of just throwing random darts on some cheap guys and hoping they hit. I mean, the night slate last night, I think Jamison Tyon ended up in the optimal. So, it just on a slate that's heavily tilted towards bats, which I'd say this one is. If you threw a Bowden Francis out there, though I don't like him as much with Jose Ramirez back. I'm not playing Kyle Gibson, but you could go with Taj Bradley. Taj Bradley was super chalky the last time he faced the Yankees because that was a small slate with very few pitching options, and now nobody's playing him because it's the Yankees and the weather. So you can do something crazy down here today, and as long as they don't get shelled, it's probably not going to kill you.
All right, so real quick, TJ, let's get a Spidey bomb, and then if you had a chance to get Stephen Kolek into your lineups, what's he looking like?
Yeah, I don't have a percentage on him yet. They're still in the midst of being built, but I am going to get him in my pool, try and get around 10 to 15% of him. So he'll be probably just above all of the cheap pitchers for me, except for Warren, Cabrera, Bradley. I'll have more of those 3, but then Kolek will probably come in right underneath. I like him better than, I don't at all like the idea of taking a shot on Kyle Gibson, Eric Fetty, Bowden Francis, but I'll try it. And so I do like the 4K guy better than all of those options, just less than the Imanaga, Warren, Bradley, Sears, Cabrera tier.
All right. Let's get a Spidey bomb, maybe 2. Let's get some more likes in, and then we'll talk offense.
First, Spidey bomb is guy batting cleanup today. We got Christian Campbell plus 630 over on FanDuel. So he is Spidey bomb number 1. We are only 2 likes away from Spidey bomb number 2. So I might as well throw that one out there right now. Spidey bomb number 2 is Pete Alonso. Maybe you can get me the odds for that one, Britt. I don't have scores and odds up at the moment for his most recent ones. But Pete Alonso is Spidey bomb number 2.
All right. Mr. Pete is sitting at... let's see, Ballybet doesn't count. So we've got a 350 on FanDuel. Probably about right. Not a huge value or anything like that, but he's basically been one of the most valuable bats in the league this year. Can certainly get behind that against Fetty, who Alonso's going to make contact against Fetty today, right, Justin?
Yes, he will. Just a matter of how far it goes.
All right, let's talk offense. Justin, I'll go to you real quick. Maybe give me a minute on a couple of your favorite stacks. And then we'll
scores and odds says Alonso's plus 420 on FanDuel.
That would be incorrect at the particular moment. So I would the 360 or whatever I said is the line at the moment. Justin, offense. I'm trying to figure out how to get over here. There we go. On the SimLabs. What do you like for offense today? Boston, the Phillies going to be the highest owned. Houston. I'm going to take Boston as my favorite offense. The Yankees as well too. Of course, I think it was last weekend someone asked us to play a Yankee stack without Aaron Judge. Do not do that. You're playing Aaron Judge and he is the Yankees offense. But I think Boston of these, and SimLabs would agree, if Boston comes in as the 3rd highest owned, I would have them as by far and away the biggest, optimal when you factor in ownership today. Boston, to me, is probably my favorite, especially now that Devers has gotten over that early season slump.
Yeah, Boston, I did write up as my number one stack earlier, so glad to see that the data is satisfied with that. So Boston would be my first one. Paddock's been really bad this year. The Phillies, I don't think the Phillies will, I don't know, maybe they will be that highly owned. Like, Eduardo Rodriguez has an ERA over 6, but his advanced metrics aren't bad at all. He's basically been a victim of bad luck with fly balls. So it's not that I don't like the Phillies. It's just that obviously their big hitters are kind of expensive. You're wanting to pay up for pitching today. I'm kind of neutral on the Phillies, but I'm underweight. I don't like Houston that much at all. This lineup is just not that exciting. I mean, I know they're playing the White Sox, but it's all right-handed. Yordan Alvarez is injured. They have done nothing all weekend against the White Sox. They scored 8 yesterday, but 7 RBIs by the number 9 guy and Jake Myers. If you take that out, the top of the order has really done nothing. So I am underweight on Philly. I am underweight on Houston. I am overweight on Boston. I'm overweight on Texas, for better or worse, despite how awful they have been this year. Eventually that lineup is going to get going. They've got Corey Seager back now. So Boston, Texas, and I like Baltimore a good bit too. They're quite a ways down the list today, but they are projected for 5 runs. Lorenzen walks a lot of guys. I think that Baltimore offense is eventually going to get going. It has definitely been underwhelming in the early going, but they're kind of my gut feel stack of the day.
All right, TJ, 30 seconds. What are your highest owned stacks?
Boston by far. I love Boston today. They're my number one stack by a fairly wide margin. That's why Kristen Campbell's a Spidey bum. I also did some bets with Alex Bregman and Rafael Devers and Willie Abreu. So they're number one by a fairly wide margin. Then it's probably the Yankees and the Orioles. I basically like the entirety of the AL East today. I like Tampa. I like the Blue Jays going up against Bybee. I like Cleveland going up against Francis in the same game. And then Houston and the Phillies, I do think, are good stacks as well.
All right, let's get to
the Mets. I really like the Mets today. I don't understand why their total is so low. I don't understand why they're going really low owned. I think they're a great tournament stack.
Fetty is a beast.
Yeah, you can Mets money line first game, Mets money line second game. We'll get that part. I don't think you can parlay those right now. I don't know. You can't do that. But you can just go bet them individually. I have already done that today. Catcher, DraftKings, cash, very simple. You got Campusano for the Padres hitting 5th against Andrew Heaney. He's $2,000. That's your cash game catcher on DraftKings. Justin, I'll save that analysis. We'll go to Justin TJ for some tournament takes there today. Unless you got anyone else, Justin, that you would play.
No, I mean, I think you could play Yainer Diaz or Real Muto if you wanted to. I mean, they're both in the 3Ks. If you don't need the 2K guy, if you're playing DeGrom and Crochet, yeah, you probably need Campusano at catcher. And I agree, he's probably the best guy when you factor in the salary. But Diaz and Real Muto, I don't think are horrible.
Caratini's 2,500. I would go cheap on DraftKings today for cash. TJ, tournaments. So if people are playing, I think generally outside of stacks, one-offs are certainly probably going to be cheap catchers today. How are you handling that? Would you rather, if you had to pick one of the cheap catchers, Caratini or Campusano, which one would it be for a tournament? And then give me a mix of some other guys.
Campusano for me. The only 4 catchers I'm using as one-offs today are Campusano, Diaz, Real Muto, and then Alejandro Kirk. He's up batting 5th now that Varsho got scratched. So those are the only 4 that I have one-offs. Everybody else is just only in stacks. Oh, and Cal Raleigh as well. Cal Raleigh is a one-off against DeGrom that I have.
Yeah, always good for a home run. A little tougher against DeGrom. DeGrom's been I like that last start. Are you worried, Justin? What do you have, like 60-something pitches and they pull him? Is he capped at like the 6 innings? We went.
They were blowing Texas.
Yeah, it was 15-1 or whatever.
Oh,
so,
yeah. That's right. All right, so I understand that.
There was just no reason to keep him in there.
All right, let's go to first base, and I guess Justin, for you, let's talk the Royals and like what their offense has been doing, because you got a couple cheap options of Vinny P. You've got Sal Perez. Vinny P on both sites, I think, is pretty reasonable. He's 3,300 on DraftKings, I believe. just having a pretty bad season. He's turned it around over the few recent games here. Are you going cheap? Are you spending up? How are you handling first base? Like, I don't want to play. Like, I don't think I want to play Vlad. Alonso's probably a little bit too expensive, I think, for the position. I don't know. It's tough. I think I'm going generally cheap today.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, I think Pasquantino is probably the play. Like, I've talked to several times when we see these pitchers that sign late in spring training, or they're injured, or they just, for whatever reason, get their season started late. It was the one year with Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery with Arizona last year. It's just not, it doesn't work for these guys when they get that late start. And Kyle Gibson was one of those guys, the late signee out of spring training, just got his first start last week and gave up back-to-back home runs to start the game, 6 extra base hits in the first inning. Now, that was against the Yankees, and the Royals aren't the Yankees, but Gibson often has problems in the first inning. Pasquantino, you mentioned it, bad start to the year, but has looked better of late, did hit a home run last night. He's super cheap on both sides. Right now we've got Christian Walker as the highest owned, but Walker's been just as bad. I'm less excited about Houston today. So, yeah, I think the cheap guy is Pasquantino. If I'm spending up, if you can get to Alonso, great. But, I think that 3K range on DraftKings is probably where I land today.
What do you like, TJ, for tournaments at first base?
I do like Christian Walker quite a bit today. I'm getting to a lot of him, but it's Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is I lied. I'm not actually getting to that much Christian Walker. I'm going to be under the field. Pete Alonso is my number one guy by a fairly wide margin. I have twice as much of him than I do anybody else at 15%. Next, it's a combo of Christian Walker, Kyle Manzardo, Michael Busch, Vladdy Guerrero, Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins. That's kind of my entire crew above 5% today outside of Alonso. But none of them are above 10%. I really like Kyle Manzardo in tournaments. I really like Michael Busch in tournaments going up against Peralta. Rhys Hoskins going up against Imanaga. Tough matchups, good hitters. I would way rather do that than a lot of the guys that are going higher owned today at that position.
Let's get over to second base. Sorry, I got the furnace kicked on. And
one quick thing I want to say too before we go too far into it. With the New York weather and New York Tampa Bay weather, Roth says he is cautiously optimistic that after this delay they will play. I just adjusted so that I'm only playing New York and Tampa players in stacks, and so I will still have a lot of Aaron Judge. I love Dominguez for the Yankees today, batting fifth. All the Rays look good for their prices. I'm just only going to be playing them when I'm stacking them, even in just like a 3-man, but I'm not playing them as one-offs.
Let's go to second base. I see lots of Red Sox up here today, Justin, at least from the math on the optimal minus projections. On Marcus Semien, you're high on Texas. I mean, what a horrible Semien and Garcia. These guys are way down in the order. Are they ever going to start hitting? They're cheap today. DraftKings is interesting. If you want,
they're cheap every day because they don't do anything.
Massey or Semien? If you got to pick between those two, I think that's where some people, that's where I'm heading for cash games. You have a preference between those two, and then what else would you be recommending?
Yeah, I mean, Semien's hitting fifth. I do like Texas. I mean, I think eventually he's going to come out of it. I would probably lean towards him. Massey's hitting sixth. Like, I think either one is fine. If I was flipping a coin, I'd probably lean towards Semien. I do like Brandon Lau, assuming the weather holds off in that game. It's tough to, as TJ mentioned, I kind of like the idea of playing them only in stacks, but Campbell hitting cleanup is really interesting. He's not going to get a lot of ownership in DFS because of the fact that he's 4.5K, but that Boston lineup, I mean, people will play Bregman at second. Hamilton is cheap, so people will throw him in there, but Campbell, he's only second base eligible. He's 4,500. He's going to be super contrarian. Like, don't sleep on Campbell if you're stacking Boston.
We know TJ's not because he was the first Spidey bomb of the day. TJ, what's your ownership look like for your boy Kristen Campbell today and then across the board?
New and hopefully final set of lineups coming in right now. It's on the final 5 here, but Christian Campbell is going to be my highest owned bat today. I have 33% Christian Campbell, 28% Alex Bregman. So those are my 2 highest owned bats. Everybody's spending down today at second base. I'm going to be spending all the way up with those guys. They're probably not going to be like super low owned. I could even see them being a little bit higher than what we're currently projecting, but I love both of those guys today. I am getting to a little bit of David Hamilton as well, just because I'm playing a lot of Red Sox stacks. I don't mind Schneemann as a cheap second base option as a pivot off of the Michael Massey's and the Marcus Semyons. And so total second base ownership for me, it goes Campbell 1, Bregman 2, 33%, 28%. And then Jose Altuve is third at 8%. I also like, I never remember how to pronounce his name, but the White Sox guy that's leading off, Chase Meadroth. I think he's a good pivot off of the Semyons and Massey's as well.
If you like what you see on the screen here with SimLabs, you want access to a lot of other fun things, including Justin's article. You can get RotoGrinders Combo Pro. The MLB DFS annual option is $425. We dropped the price of the Combo Pro, however, to mirror the MLB annual package. You get more for the same price. 6-month Pro gives you full access to our content, tools, projections for every sport except NASCAR, and at a cheaper price than the monthly package. You'd save about 35% by getting the 6-month option. You can sign up now for MLB, NBA, PGA, and more. Let's get to third base. Also, guys, keep clicking the likes. We'll get a couple more Spidey bombs. I got the inside info before, so I already know who they are, and I bet them. We'll get you the best odds. Third base for you today, cards. You've got Devers. This is a position you want to spend on. I think at least on FanDuel for sure. DraftKings is debatable. There's a couple close to minimum price plays on DraftKings that you might want to consider. You want Ramirez, Bregman, or Devers if you got to pick between one of them today?
It's Bregman for me, given his splits against righties this year, over 430 weighted on base. So we've got him at half the ownership of Devers right now, which I don't know whether or not they'll be accurate, especially since you can play Bregman at 2 positions. Ramirez is certainly fine, but he's coming back from a little bit of an injury, didn't play yesterday. I think the Boston guys, and they're my number 1 stack as well. So I think the Boston guys are certainly your top picks for cash games. You should have the money to spend at third and short. I mean, we've talked about cheap guys at catcher, cheap guys at first, cheap guys at second. There's a couple cheap guys in the outfield that you can play. So third base is probably where you want to spend. Suarez for Arizona, always dangerous against lefties. They got the Suarez on Suarez matchup today. We've got him at 2% ownership. I think he could be interesting for GPPs. Jonathan India for cheaper if you're on the Royals. But, yeah, this is a spot to spend up for me.
And DraftKings, there are a couple cheap guys. You've got, Mayo for Baltimore. He's hitting 7th, but he's the minimum price, 2K. There's a couple other guys down there if you want to mess it around too. And if you want a guy up towards the top of the lineup, you've got Vargas for the White Sox. It is the White Sox against McCullers. But there are some cheap plays too. I think you're going to see a wide variety of people. As long as it's not a Boston player, this is going to be a pretty spread out position. I know, TJ, you're probably on Devers and Bregman quite a bit today. Where do they stand for you? And then how else is it looking for you?
First things first, Spidey Bomb number 3. It's Bobby Witt Jr. at plus 525 was the best place I saw him on Scores and Odds. Fourth Spidey Bomb is at 125 likes. We are very close. So we have Christian Campbell, Pete Alonso, Bobby Witt, and the fourth one coming at 125 likes. Yeah, third base, like you said, Alex Bregman, 28%, Rafael Devers, 22%. By far my highest owned guys. This is a position I'm spending up for today. Bregman 1, Devers 2, Suarez 3 at the super low ownership. Don't love the Diamondback stack, but I do really like Suarez batting cleanup today. Jose Ramirez back from his little mini injury going up against Bowden Francis, who's allowed an ISO above 400 to lefties so far this year. And then Manny Machado is my 5th favorite guy going up against the lefty today as well. So Bregman, Devers, Suarez, Ramirez, Machado are my favorites. If I need to punt, I'm going to Vargas. I like a low-owned one-off or mini stack of Jorge Polanco going up against DeGrom. And outside of that, it's only in stacks.
$5.25 on Bet365 if you are looking for the Bobby Witt home run. DraftKings $4.75. Shortstop. This is another position, Justin. You mentioned you want to spend. I mean, you've got Witt, Seager, Lindor, Gunnar. There's a couple other options too, but this is a spend position. If you're going cheaper here, you're really putting yourself in a hole.
Yeah, it's just there's so many of these top end guys that somebody's going to have a big game, especially now that Seager's back. You basically got 6 or 7 at the top end that have been putting up big numbers, and ownership's going to be pretty spread out. Right now, we've got Turner as the highest owned guy, so Turner's probably the one guy that I'm out on or underweight on for sure. And I know he's cheap on FanDuel, but he really hasn't shown any pop against lefties of late. So I prefer the other guys. I mean, pay a little bit more for Henderson, a little bit more for Witt. Lindor's been hitting everything. Fetty's a contact guy. Seager's back. Mentioned I like Texas. So, yeah, I'd probably be like Witt, Henderson, or Seager for me if I'm picking the top 3 spends.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I really like Lindor too. A little, especially on DraftKings. What is he, 4,900? That makes no sense to me for him to be that cheap on DraftKings compared to Witt's 5,900. So you get a pretty decent price savings with that. TJ, you're probably going to be spread out pretty evenly amongst the top names here. Would I be correct in that? And then is there any mid-tier cheaper plays you're on?
On FanDuel, Gunnar Henderson is my favorite play just because he's so cheap. But on DraftKings, my number 1, and on FanDuel, my number 2, and one of my favorite hitters on the whole slate, actually, it's Corey Seager. Only I have about 20% of him. I think he should be about $1,000 more expensive, at least on both sites. And so Corey Seager is my number 1, getting to a ton of him. Then it's about an even split between Trey Turner, Bobby Witt, Francisco Lindor, Jeremy Pena, Gunnar Henderson. And then the only other guys that I'm really looking to get to would be Polanco, Bichette, and Josh Smith. But Smith, I think I'm mostly playing him in the outfield.
All right, outfield. Definitely looking at Juan Soto on both sites today as one of my main guys against Fetty. It's no longer April, so you can now play Juan Soto. He's horrific April, not horrific, but very bad Aprils. And then he comes alive in May. May is actually his best month if you look at it by month splits, but typically a very slow starter. And you can sort of see that over the past few games. He's picked it up, looking for that to continue at a reasonable price against Fetty. That's going to be some contact. Probably hard for him today. If you got to pick between Tatis or Judge today, cards, who would you want on that? You got Tatis against Andrew Heaney, who Heaney had some very easy matchups to start the year. Any sort of tough matchup for him is going to cause trouble. Guys like Machado and Tatis are certainly guys to do that to him. Who would you play? Judge, to me, a little bit more attainable on DraftKings than FanDuel at 4,900. That's pretty prohibitive to the rest of your lineup on FanDuel.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to play either. I mean, if you're worried about the weather in New York, if I had to pick, if the weather was great in New York, I think Judge is the easy choice. Tatis, not necessarily the best hitter against lefties in terms of splits. He's fine, but when you compare to his overall numbers, you'd think he'd hit lefties a little bit better than he does. So Judge for me if I'm picking between the two, but I mean, I think you could start with a Soto or a Jarren Duran if you want. O'Neal Cruz, I think, is interesting as a one-off today. I really like Wyatt Langford, obviously going with he's the one Texas guy who has kind of hit. If you think that Jock Peterson can still hit a baseball at some point, he's basically free on DraftKings. He's still hitting cleanup. That's how bad the Texas lineup has been. So, again, that's not for the faint of heart. But, yeah, I'm probably going more with that mid-range type of build. So starting with a Soto, Langford, and maybe trying to get 2 of those 3 guys as opposed to the stars and scrubs kind of outfield build. Like if you were trying to decide at this point, with what we know about the weather, like should I go with Jock Peterson and Aaron Judge or 2 4K guys, like Soto and Castellanos or something like that? I think I'd take the 2 mid-range guys at this point.
TJ, what do you do?
It sounds like he has some concern with Philadelphia as well.
I'm bringing that up here. So he said Philly dealing with some pretty legit rain currently, but that's lifting out soon behind it. is a decent swath of light moderate rain. Models have that rain tapering off through the afternoon. My best guess at this point would be a late start and play 9, but he also says that's not a lock. So I think if we're coming down and we got 3 or 4 minutes before lock, we probably aren't going to be able to get to too many questions because of the weather here. Cards, real quick. Yankees, Rays, the Philadelphia game. What are we doing with that?
Well, I'm underweight on the Yankees game regardless, so I will probably just pivot off. If you do anything like a full stack, obviously would be fine given the weather. I did a lot of Dodgers Braves last night when it sounded like they were just going to wait it out. So, and they played at like 10 p.m. and like every hitter in that game was 4% owned on a 6-game slate. So people are going to get scared enough of the weather that, Aaron Judge maybe won't be as popular as he otherwise would have been. Given that narrative that you just relayed about Philadelphia, that scares me a good bit. I wasn't really on Trey Turner anyway. I know I just kind of mentioned Castellanos in that last example, but you could just replace him with another, 4K-ish outfielder. I don't think anybody's enough of a priority on this slate that you have to go with them. So right now I'll probably be largely out on those 2 games with the biggest concerns.
And then TJ, what are you doing? Are you rerunning? How are you handling? You already said Yankees just in stacks. Are you doing anything to compensate for the Philadelphia news? Again, Roth isn't saying it's an absolute delay, an absolute PPD. He just has a little bit of concern on those 2 games.
I am in the midst of trying to make a only in stacks for Arizona and Philadelphia now as well, but with only 2.5 minutes to lock, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that in time. Not going to fade, but am trying to lower my exposure. May not be able to do it before we hit lock here, so I might have to just go in and do some hand builds with that. There is one question in chat that I wanted to get I've been going through and answering them. But 2 questions from Discord that I want to get your guys' take on. Preferred SP2 in cash if they're playing DeGrom and they don't want to play Crochet. So first one there, who's your preferred SP2 for cash, assuming you're not doing Crochet?
At that point, I'd probably go to like a Sears maybe against Miami.
I think it probably is Sears on DK.
And then
I would definitely put
that spot Abreu or Langford.
What do you think, Justin? Texas or Boston for that one?
Give me Langford today.
I think that I would probably take Langford as well, but that one's pretty close.
I said that in chat. I was like, I like Abreu better, but I also know that these guys are more of the cash ones. And Langford probably has more ways to get there. So Abreu just he hits a home run or not, whereas Langford can get a single, steal a couple bases. Minute and a half left to lock here. We're over 125 likes, so I did drop Spidey Bomb number 4. It's Vladimir Guerrero at plus 525. I got one more for the people if they want it, if they get up to 150 likes. So keep hitting the like button. And I believe we are good for questions.
Yeah, we'll take a couple questions. I got scores.
Boston weather, but I don't think we're too worried about Boston weather.
I got scores and odds pulled up. We've got, so basically only the Mets game started here. So unless you were playing Mets or Cardinals, which why would you be doing? Well, actually, maybe the Cardinals a little bit from a tournament against a rookie call-up. We'll see how that is. But that's the only game that's locked. So there is time to do some late swapping and things like that. If you wanted to possibly hold off weather for another 20 minutes and check the radar on your own, that is something I would recommend in regards to both Philadelphia and New York, or stay tuned to Roth. Roth may or may not update at 1:35. So just keep that in mind and double check that yourself. If you guys have a couple of questions, we'll take some. I'll let those roll in. I want to give a couple of my picks. I mentioned the A's earlier. So this is a 2-unit play for me. Really like the A's against Cabrera and the Marlins. The A's aren't probably going to have Mason Miller today. Miller threw a ton of pitches yesterday. Probably not going to sit there. But if it gets to the bullpen, even without Miller, I think the A's have a better bullpen straight up than the Marlins. So I like the A's quite a bit. And Justin, what's your take on this? McGill is looking really good. I wanted this yesterday. It was one of my bigger bets. It's against Palante today. I don't need to see the lineups that are going to roll out for game 2. I've already bet this as a 2-unit play today. McGill's just so good. He's been dominant against lefties, absolutely dominant. You don't even see these type of numbers against left-handed pitch or left-handed batters from a righty pretty much ever. There will be a little bit of regression. But McGill, what do you think of Palante? Just ground balls, but the Mets got him for 4 runs a little bit earlier today. Minus 142 just seems a little light for how McGill's been pitching and how good this Mets offense has been.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets are 5-0 against the Cardinals this year, so they've pretty much had their number. It's tough not to back them for sure. It's the Cardinals just aren't very good, so it's depressing. But yeah, I like that call. I like that the Mets call.
Didn't have any. You got on money line. You didn't get any in today. You're probably a little busy.
So I am on. So when I go on tilt after a bad beat, like I had yesterday, I always take the next day off. So I did not put any picks today. I had TJ's Blue Jays yesterday, and while we were on the air for the night slate, Daniel Schneemann hit a grand slam with 2 outs in the 9th. The Blue Jays were 1 out away from a win. They had their closer with a 0 ERA on the mound, and he gave up a grand slam to Schneemann. And so that was an L for me yesterday. So no picks today by rule because I don't want to tilt bet anything. So I will ride the coattails of others so that I don't get tilted again for one day.
I will do that too. If both the A's and the Mets lose today in that second game, I will not have any picks tomorrow. I agree with that. You don't need to cloud your judgment or try to chase.
That's right. I had an under 8.5 earlier in the week, which was a Phillies Nationals game, under 8.5, 8 runs with 2 outs in the 9th, and Nate Lowe hit a 3-run homer. So lost that one with 2 outs in the 9th, and then had the Blue Jays yesterday. So had some bad beats this week. We'll look to reset tomorrow and start a new week.
All right, we'll sit around for a few more minutes. I see a few questions have rolled in. We'll answer those, and then we'll get on out of here. I'm going to start with the Discord. Bates wanted to know, he's narrowed it down to a manga, Imanaga or Sears for DraftKings cash. I think I would take Sears. Correct, Justin? I like Sears. He's been pretty steady this year, and it's against the Marlins. I don't want to mess around with the Brewers too much, so I think I would take Sears there. And then we've got DraftKings cash, 3,000 and below outfielder. I'm going to filter here on Lineup HQ. I don't know if you have anyone on the mind, Justin, but I pulled it up. You got your boy Jock Peterson, who I don't think I have the stones to play Jock Peterson in a cash game. But who would you be looking at today?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot down there. Winker, I guess. There's some possible pinch hit risk later in the game with him. Schneemann after his grand slam. He's on my bad list today.
I'd probably go Schneemann. Or go all the way down to Isaac Collins and upgrade somewhere else.
I think those are fine. I think the two guys that I want to play are already in, Burleson and Winker, but that's the game that started, so they're out of the way. I couldn't play Jock Peterson. I just the risk. Anyone could get a 0 in baseball, but I mean, he is the most likely player in baseball to get you a 0 currently.
He's had a lot of them.
I don't know. I would probably play. I think you guys. Collins is pretty interesting. Hitting second at 2.2 gives you some money to spend up elsewhere. And then I like the Schneemann call too, TJ. Those are probably the two I would look at of the games that haven't played today. I think those are good ones. Going to go to YouTube or the YouTube chat. We'll work backwards. So we made your favorite starting pitcher for a FanDuel tournament today, Justin. Take pricing, all that into consideration. What are we doing on FanDuel for your favorite tournament pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just playing DeGrom and Crochet on FanDuel. Sears is too expensive. Cabrera is probably a little too risky over there. We've got Crochet with higher ownership by a couple percentage points. I mean, I'd just play DeGrom.
Yeah, DeGrom at 9,700. I don't know. Yeah, getting cute on FanDuel at starting pitcher.
It's tough to do.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. If Sears was 8,500 probably, but at 9,500 probably not. I would just pay up to DeGrom or Crochet on that one. Very tough on FanDuel today. Let's see. DeGrom or Imanaga DraftKings tournament. So if DeGrom's going to be the first or second highest owned pitcher today, Justin, does that dissuade you from taking Imanaga against the Brewers?
I just don't love. I mean, Imanaga's strikeout rate is 18%. Like, and his xFIP is more than 2 runs higher than his ERA. Like, there's just no ceiling there. I see he's fine, but I don't see what it gains you because it's not like he's going to go out and strike out 12 guys.
Devers or Bregman for cash games today? Justin?
I mean, it's Bregman for me. Ownership disagrees, but
I have Devers on FanDuel. I would have gotten to Bregman, but I don't have the 200. And I am going cheap on DraftKings third baseman. And I think, what's the price difference over there? It's more than the 200 on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's like 500 on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's like 500 or 600. Devers at 4,800, and he's turned it around. I mean, I'm good with that. I'm good with Rafael. I'm good with Devers. He's fixed his problems, hitting well, looking for him to have a strong rest of the season here. Let's see. You see any other? Oh, wait. Crow and Schneeman or Grisham and Josh Smith for DraftKings cash. So I don't know. I'm probably not on any combination of that.
I'm not either for cash games. I don't know how you get to that grouping. Grisham with the weather is just not necessary.
Yeah. So here, let me give you. So how much is Grisham?
PCA is the best hitter in the league. So
yeah, he's been one of the biggest wins above replacement hitters in the league. So Grisham's 4,000. I'm going to throw. I like Blade. What is he? He's 3,600. If you're looking a little cheaper to maybe get a couple more bucks to spend elsewhere, I like attacking Cabrera. He can strike guys out, but there's a lot of free passes. There's going to be some hits there as well. I understand why you're taking Grisham at 4K because it's the dead zone. Would you take Grisham or Brian Reynolds against the rookie today, Justin? I might lean on Reynolds on that one, honestly, personally.
Yeah, I like Reynolds today. I actually I put Reynolds in the survey as my sneaky home run call today, so I kind of like Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds. What'd you say, TJ? We kind of drowned you out.
Pete Alonso started the game with a double. We were close.
All right, so we got that. Yeah,
not enough hard contact against Fed. He's got to get a little more lift.
It's going to be 7-0 for the Mets after today, Justin.
He's going to hit I can see it now.
Mets though, because they will hit him home with another double.
Yeah. I can see Alonso like chugging out another triple for the cycle at the end of the day. It's probably going to happen.
I feel robbed on my on the rain out yesterday. That was like a complete mispricing by sportsbooks with McGill against Fetty. So probably should have taken it today, but I didn't trust the call up here from in Syracuse. So I had some inside information on him. Not really, but whatever. I can talk about that. I don't know. I think we got most of the questions today. TJ, you got anything? Did we get enough for a final Spidey bomb?
We have not gotten enough for a final Spidey bomb. We are 12 likes away, so we are finishing with 4 today. Pete Alonso, Bobby Witt, Vladimir Guerrero, Christian Campbell. Alonso's the only one who has started, so you should still be able to get the other ones in there. But no, that'll do it. That'll do it for today. Let's get out of here. I'm starving. All
right, for TJ, the hungry. For Justin, the writer. I am Britt, the cheapskate for food, looking for deals. Have a good day, everybody. May baseball going your way. We out, you.